YouTube, it's Dasha and welcome to my channel. If you're new here and want to take your English to the next level, then consider subscribing and that way you'll never miss a video. Other than that, today is a big day for you because it's test day. And not just an ordinary test, but an advanced English vocabulary test. I said test like 3 times. But fear not, when I say advanced English, I don't actually mean words like discombobulated or fanfarinate. No, I'm talking about actual words native speakers use that show that you have a mastery of the English language. Specifically, we're going to be looking into 10 words that I personally picked from the C1, C2 vocabulary list published by Cambridge University Press. The way we're gonna do this is that I'll first give you a sentence with a blank space and you'll have a few seconds to choose from 4 options. Your job is to choose the most suitable word, and don't use Google. You can of course pause the video at any time before I give you an answer and explanation. Oh, and make sure to drop your score out of 10 in the comment section below. So let's do it. Question number 1. In the aftermath of the collapse of the Soviet Union, a large number of individuals rapidly something wealth. Is it A, harvested, B, assembled, C, accumulated, or D, stored? And the answer is accumulated. In the aftermath of the collapse of the Soviet Union, a large number of individuals rapidly accumulated wealth. It means that they gathered wealth very quickly. Harvested doesn't fit here because it means to pick or to collect, so that doesn't make any sense in this sentence. As for assembled, it doesn't make sense here either because it means to put together, like to assemble a puzzle or furniture from IKEA. You can certainly store your money like cash in a vault, but we're not talking about storing wealth in a particular location in this context. Number 2, I'm always a bit blank when I have to disagree with my manager about something. Your options are A, stiff, B, apprehensive, C, suspicious, and D, laconic. The correct answer is B, apprehensive. I'm always a bit apprehensive when I have to disagree with my manager about something. If you feel apprehensive, it means that you're worried about something that you're going to do, like disagreeing with your manager. The adjective stiff means firm or hard, and it simply doesn't fit in the sentence. And the same goes for suspicious and laconic. Suspicious means that you have doubts about something, like if you're suspicious about your girlfriend cheating on you. Laconic just means that you're using few words to express yourself. And I put it in there because, well, to throw you off and because it sounds fancy. Sentence number 3. This scientific article, something to a number of interesting research studies which I would really like to find out more about. Would you say it's A, infers, B, implies, C, alludes, or D, alludes? The answer is D, alludes. This scientific article alludes to a number of interesting research studies which I would really like to find out more about. In other words, this scientific article mentions a number of interesting research studies. It doesn't imply them because it directly mentions them, whereas to imply means to refer to something without saying it directly, and to allude generally means to avoid something or someone, or that you were not able to succeed in achieving something. Notice here that we don't use the verbs infer, imply, and allude with the preposition to, but only with allude. Up next is the sentence, last year, American Express experienced a major data something that involved the theft of its customers' credit card information. You can choose from A, fissure, B, breach, C, aperture, D, intrusion. Have a moment to think about it. The correct answer is none other than B, breach, so that you would say, last year, American Express experienced a major data breach that involved the theft of its customers' credit card information. To breach in this context means to break something. It could also mean not to obey the law. Here, however, we're saying that American Express experienced hackers breaking into their system and stealing data. But in general, data breach is a very common collocation like security breach or alleged breach. As a reminder for you guys, this is why it's very important to learn common collocations when learning new vocabulary. The word fissure is a crack in a rock or the ground, but you'd never really use it with the word data. In fact, it's more commonly used in medicine, like cerebral fissure. If you're into photography, you might already know that the word aperture is a small opening that allows light into the camera, which is completely irrelevant here. And an intrusion is when someone enters a place like your house without being welcome or invited. And this word, of course, does not make any sense if you were to say a major data intrusion. Moving on to number 5, I'm certain that I was invited to join the company's board of directors as the something woman. Is it A, token, B, representative, C, symbolic, or D, emblem? And the answer is not B, C, or D, it's A, token. I'm certain that I was invited to join the company's board of directors as the token woman, meaning that I was invited to join the board of directors for the sake of having a woman on the board of directors and not because I deserved it or anything like that. Now, the word token has several different meanings and it can either be an adjective or a noun. In our example, token is used as an adjective. You might have been tempted to use the adjectives representative or symbolic because they mean very similar things and they kind of make sense in the sentence itself, but they sound kind of awkward. I was invited to join the company's board of directors as the representative or symbolic woman just doesn't sound right. And neither does emblem, because firstly, it's strictly a noun, and secondly, it's an object that represents a person or group of people and not a person that represents a person or a group of people. That's why token is the right answer. Sentence number 6. It really feels as if that silly argument Jack and I had last week has driven a something between us and we've lost all our closeness. Your options for this sentence are A, ledge, B, beam, C, wedge, or D, plank. This one is very, very tricky because it's based on an idiom. So have a long pause and think about it and think about which word sounds right. Well, time is up and I'm gonna tell you anyway. The correct answer is C, wedge. It really feels as if that silly argument Jack and I had last week has driven a wedge between us and we've lost all our closeness. So yeah, I must admit, to drive a wedge is an expression, so it's not like one sole word, because on its own, a wedge is a piece of material like wood with a pointed edge, which doesn't make much sense if you take the literal meaning of the phrase. But that's exactly why C1 and C2 level English means that a person has the so-called mastery of the language. Knowing a language well does not necessarily mean knowing complicated and long words, but it's also about knowing phrases and idioms and when to use them appropriately. So to drive a wedge simply means to cause disagreement or anger between people. The word beam, however, is a fine line of light, whereas a plank is a narrow piece of wood, and a ledge is a narrow shelf that sticks out from a vertical surface like a building. Turning to number 7. Even though my brother and I grew up in the same household, we have something views on just about any topic. We have the following options. A, distinct, B, dissimilar, C, distinguished, or D, divergent. Ready or not, the correct answer is D, divergent. So you would say, even though my brother and I grew up in the same household, we have divergent views on just about any topic. The adjective divergent means different from each other, and it's very commonly used with the word view. Again, this is a reminder for you guys to learn word collocations when learning new vocabulary. I cannot stress how important that is. This sentence was particularly tricky because the options were so similar to each other, but they all have different nuances. Distinct means noticeable or different, and it could potentially be used in this sentence. And so could dissimilar because it's the opposite of similar and it means different. But there is a big but. In this exercise/test, you're asked to choose the most suitable word, and divergent is the best fit. Lastly, distinguish actually refers to a person that is well respected. It has absolutely nothing to do with the verb distinguish, which means to notice the difference between two things. And we are slowly nearing to the end with the sentence, during the graduation ceremony, the school principal something the students for their achievements. Is it A, commended, B, merited, C, advocated, or D, commanded? And the answer here is A. During the graduation ceremony, the school principal commended the students for their achievements this year. That is, the principal praised the students for their achievements. The verb to merit means to deserve, and to advocate means to support, where neither fit the logic of the sentence. And to command means to give someone an order, like, I command you to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Which I don't, it's totally up to you, no pressure. Number 9 is the sentence, the process of extracting data from an Excel spreadsheet is very something and time consuming. Is it A, enthralling, B, tedious, C, captivating, or D, dry? I'll start by saying that the answer is definitely not A, because enthralling means fascinating and data extraction is anything but fascinating, I can tell you that. It's also not captivating, which means attractive, and it's definitely not dry. Well, it's dry in the sense that it's boring, but again, it doesn't quite fit the sentence. So that leaves us with B, tedious. If something is tedious, it means that it's long, slow, and dull, just like extracting data from an Excel spreadsheet. And finally, number 10, the United Nations called for an immediate something of hostilities in the war zone. Is the correct answer A, ceasefire? Or is it B, deletion? Or perhaps it's C, cancellation? Or maybe it's D, cessation? The choice is yours. And the answer is, of course, D, cessation. The United Nations called for an immediate cessation of hostilities in the war zone. So why is it cessation and not ceasefire? Well, a ceasefire is an agreement to stop hostilities, but in this sentence, we are already referring to the word hostilities. But otherwise, you could totally say the United Nations called for an immediate ceasefire in the war zone. The word deletion is also not correct to use in the sentence because it means to remove, and you can't remove hostilities. And you can't use the word cancellation either, because a hostility is not an event and it's not a noun that can be cancelled. Instead, you can either stop or end hostilities, which is exactly what cessation means. So there you have it, folks. Congratulations on making it till the end, and an even bigger congratulations if you got full marks. You should be proud of yourself. As a reminder, drop your score in the comment section below. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and as ever, thank you for watching. Till next time, bye bye.